Sensitivity is intelligence. With grace and skill, you have abundance. Welcome to the Psychic Hour. Host Kelly Brickle is a psychic medium healer, numerologist, and teacher. Her passions are learning about the soul and energy. Whether it's through spirit, emotion, or vibrational numbers, there's always a pathway of information waiting to help. Now, here is your host of the Psychic Hour, Kelly Brickle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Psychic Hour. We have a Monday episode. Our guest is Spiritual Blacksmith, and we'll be talking to her in about 10 minutes about her spiritual journey, her findings, and what she's up to as a spiritual healer and intuitive on the path. Today is Monday. It's always interesting, like when a Monday show hits, because you know, humans, I think for the most part, are like creatures of habit, right? And it's like, it almost feels so funny that it is a Monday. Because I'm like, gosh, it's, I'm expecting it to be a Friday or a Wednesday, but it's a Monday. And we're at the beginning of the week again. Full possibilities, full potential for the week. And I have a busy week and I'm excited. I really am. I'm smack dab in the numerology readings class, and we've been having a lot of fun with that. We have been diving into like actually learning how to do calculations as we go. So it's like very hands-on, and I'm just having so much fun with it. It's just kind of in the moment, right? It's like, you've learned about this. Okay, you're going to use it right now. And I'm just really excited. I'm really excited. I've been teaching that class for about 8 years. And this is the first time I've actually just like thrown people into numerology exercises and groups, because you need so much foundation. You do. But this is so fun because this is a different way to learn, and it's working. I love it. I just love it. I just love talking about when, there's epiphanies and ahas amongst our personal, classes and teachings and findings. So that's one of mine. We're going to be continuing today with it, so I'll have more. And also I'm going to have some classes coming up with like a card reading class. And also a psychic development circle and the clairvoyance class again. So I'm very excited, and just, it's a good year. It's a good year. And every year is different for us. It's really true. I'm kind of like in the numerology kind of, I guess, inspirational like vortex of ideas. But yeah, like for instance, a couple years ago, so I was going through some health issues like in around 2020, yeah. And it really made doing a lot of things like rough for me. Like my energy levels were just, they weren't the same. They weren't the same. I can go into it on one episode, but I'll just give it to you in a nutshell. So basically I had like something happen with my health where they were looking at things like, did you have a mini stroke? Right. So all these things were offset in my body, and like my motor function was offset. And so I was gaining that back. And luckily I recovered really quick, but I had trouble, like speaking and walking for, this amount of time, it was like on and off, like kind of how it would surface. But luckily, within a couple of months' time, it kind of started trailing off. But it took me a good year and a half to really start to, every time I'd be like, wow, I feel better than ever. I feel like myself. I would realize, I'm like, wow, I'm still so very tired. So it was a lot. And so certain years, even in my cycle, my numerology cycle, like reflected how I was in a resting phase, how I was in a learning phase, right? And sometimes when we are in those phases, we just have different tendencies. And I think that's important to share because I love teaching. Like, I absolutely adore it. It's close to my heart. But during those years, it was very hard for me to teach, even when I had very high energy levels, even when I was very articulate, even when I felt like I was stronger than ever. I was still healing. I was still healing in certain areas, and my body was like, um, we're gonna put you in these tasks instead of those tasks. And you might find that's the same for you too. In certain areas in your life, if you've gone through something heavy, or let's say you go through a health scare, or something changes within your life and you're like, I don't know why I'm not being fulfilled, or I don't know, I still love it, I just, yeah, it doesn't feel right now. Just listen to that, listen to it, because the gifts that you have, or the passions and dreams that you have, they're not going anywhere. There's just a reason sometimes to put more time and attention in other places. And then things do come full circle, And I think, like, we've been taught, like, go, go, go. We have to have plans, we have to have results, we have to, produce to show people that we are doing something with our lives. And sometimes that's just not possible. Of course, we'll always keep going. Of course, we'll always keep, trying. And life does go forward, right? No matter what we do, in some way, we're living, life does go forward. But um, it's okay. I think the quieter periods, I think that's a big spiritual understanding, even if you understand the concept. Like, if life forces you, or you find yourself in a place where you come to the conclusion, I really got to take things a little bit slower. I really kind of got to reconfigure my energy, or it just, all signs point to taking it easy. That's a valuable spiritual lesson. That is full of abundance. That is full of productive activity for you to teach your body and your nervous system to slow down. That's a skill and an art form within itself. If you can teach yourself to honor those signs and those signals, and teach your body how to relax, how to heal more efficiently, how to nurture itself, my goodness, that is a spiritual power. It really is. And you can share that calmness, that peace, and even some of the healing and regenerative insights you had by taking it slow, right? Whether it's through breath, thought, feeling, or even just energy. You can you can share that synergy with people, just even by the people being around you. Like, wow, your energy feels so good. You feel calm. There's something kind of serene about you, right? Something kind of just comforting about you. Those results multiply and magnify around you. If they've truly made an impact on your own life, my goodness, they will do the same with other people's lives, in subtle ways or in big ways. But we share energy, and my gosh, is it powerful. And my gosh, is just the concept of power, to know when to go fast, right? And produce and be extroverted, and to know when to go slow and be calm, and to be, restful. Rest is a great power, right? And I know I'm always learning about the power of rest. There's many different powers. There's, being a human, the power of time, the power of um my goodness, of course, the obvious one is like abundance, right? And what our forms of abundance are. And time, of course, resources, um the quality of people around you, so many different powers in the world and how we can use them. And sleep and rest is a power. Regeneration is that power. And it's just, I guess the last thing I'll say is don't overlook the small but powerful spiritual truths. And if you find yourself in a place where your head's scratching, you're frustrated, you're not sure of, there is wisdom there. There is profound wisdom and truth there. You are at that moment, and if you seek, you shall find. So, just a couple things off the cuff. You heard a little bit about my story in 2020, just parts of it, really. And I hope that gave you some courage and insight and perspective. Many, many different perspectives. There's one. We will be back in a few. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with Spiritual Blacksmith, and we'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to WLTKDB, Let's Talk Radio on the Psychic Hour. So I want to give a warm welcome and introduce Spiritual Blacksmith. Spiritual Blacksmith is an energy healer, psychic medium, and yoga teacher. She holds spiritual retreats and healing ceremonies for those looking to explore and journey into themselves. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. I want to give you a warm welcome this afternoon.
Thank you.
Hi. What have you been up to?
Oh, a lot. I've been traveling, been teaching classes, been giving talks and sermons, making spiritual goodies, doing readings, coaching, you name it. I've been doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you really are multi-talented, and I'm like connected with you on social media, and you've been traveling. So I'm like, I don't know where you are in the world. What are you up to?
I know. I feel like
so
I'm in San Diego. I know.
Yeah.
I love traveling. It is a way for me to connect spiritually. I like to go away and kind of do some reflecting. And then every time I have a travel trip, I always meet someone or a group of people that need spiritual help every single time. So it's a blessing, and it's also a learning experience. I get to come back and I have stories and new topics to give talks and sermons on, new topics to do workshops on. So it's always an amazing blessing to be able to do that.
Absolutely. Is there something that happened recently with the spontaneity of traveling where you can share a story where you're like, that just happened organically?
Ooh, what's a good one? Oh, geez. Well, I was in another country, randomly met up with this person and ended up spending a few hours with this person. And we talked about how this person had not was looking to reconnect with their birth father and had been raised by someone else. And so, it was a time for me to give spiritual guidance to the person who didn't really believe in this type of stuff. And I had some words to share from my own experience with my family to help this person. I knew it was divine timing to be able to have that conversation and give that person some understanding of how the spirit world works, how we are all connected, and help explain how that yearning had been going on within this person. And so it was a divine timing type of moment, to be honest.
Yeah, like encouragement where you just see a moment,
Right.
and you bridge that moment. Understandable. There's so many people, I think, that are looking for something and they don't know what. And you have so much wisdom that, boom, right?
You got to be there. You got to be there at the right time, the right place, and be open. And I feel like a lot of times when we are in our natural environment, like if I'm, here in my hometown, walking around, I'm on autopilot. I know where I'm going. I'm in the car. I'm going to an errand. I'm back, grocery store, yada, yada, yada. But when you're out of the country in a place that you don't speak the language, you are forced to be open to spirit. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what the signs mean. And so when I'm in a place like that, I literally just go, all right, where should I go? What should I do today? Because I don't have a schedule. I'm not on an agenda. And spirit's like, oh boy, this is really when we get to play with you. Then, I'll be walking on the street and they'll go, make a right. and I'll make a right, and I'll turn and keep walking. And then why don't you go sit down there to have something to eat? I'll sit down, have a conversation with someone. All of a sudden they're telling me their life story. And all of a sudden I'm giving them a healing through my words. And I'm like, wow. So it's like, if I can just be present in the moment like that when I'm at home, that'd be amazing. But when you're at home, you have your cell phone, you have emails you're returning, we're always, when we have a free moment, we're like this, even at a stoplight, we're like this. And so it's rare that we actually let our spirit team play with us and be with us the way they want to. So that's why I love travel.
Like the sense of freedom, it's on a different level. Do you feel, because you talked about kind of, my cell phone or things that I'm doing, obviously if I'm local, if I'm at home, but do you ever feel kind of like, I can just be divinely guided to go wherever I need to go, and it's like no one's gonna see me again, so I'm just gonna live from the heart, right? And then just I know I gave it my all, no consequence. It was the right thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's the human experience is such a wonderful blessing, but at the same time, we have to remember we're here fighting to remember why we came and living out that purpose. And so, as lovely as this human experience is and can be, sometimes we just get lost in it, and we forget to do what you said. Like, you're here, like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, you chose to come here, like, go out, live your life, and meet people and meet new people and experience new things. But sometimes we just get comfortable, we get in our own little world, our own little shell, our own little habits, and we just keep plugging through the day, and we forget that we only have one life to live in this lifetime. And just be excited, go live each day like it's your last, because it literally can be.
It can in the
moment, just like that. So
you never know. Did you always have this thirst for adventure or travel since you were young?
I would say no, but I was raised, my mother was a nurse when I was growing up, so we moved around a lot. So we were always moving. I was always making new friends. And also too, I'm Nigerian. So I grew up going to Nigeria every year. So I was traveling from when I was a baby every year. I was, across the globe. And so I guess that is when traveling became the norm for me. And as I got older, I realized a lot of people didn't travel. Like they were like, I never left my hometown. I was like, what? You haven't stopped in London on the way to Nigeria? It was just weird to me. And so, and my family travels because we're from another country. So I guess that was ingrained in me. And then as I got older and more on my spiritual path, traveling became something that I really needed to do, because I had a feeling, even though I couldn't articulate it years ago, I feel like there are places in the world I needed to see, because when I came back, they wouldn't be here. And as I got into my spiritual path, I understood that was me knowing or understanding this lifetime, and knowing that when I come back in another life, the world will be different. Yeah. The seven wonders of the world may not be here. We may be in the Georgia Jetson era where we're zipping around. Things may not be here. So I feel like in this life, I need to travel, I need to see, I need to do and experience, because when I come back, I don't know what it's going to be like. Yeah.
To take the full moment in, do you ever feel at times within your life where you don't have that thirst to travel at certain times, or is it just like full on in this part of your life, this is my passion? Do you ever get like, okay, all right, I want to travel a different way. Like, I want to travel with my passions or with talking to people, or is like the vehicle of how spirit is pulling you to travel, like physically travel from location to location?
Honestly, no, because I tend to, it's funny you say that, or ask, because as much as I love to travel, I kind of will get into I call it my matrix, where I'm here, I'm working, I'm doing whatever. And then all of a sudden I will get really irritated with everyone. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. Got it. It's time to go. I gotta go. I gotta wrap it up. And then I'm like on the computer, like looking for places to go. and I'm out. So I, as much as I love to travel, I just kind of get into my zone sometimes, and spirit taps me on the shoulder and says, it's that time, it's that time, it's that time. And then I go off somewhere, and I don't really plan too much about it because I try to keep my human brain out of it. So I go, okay, I'm just going to travel to Italy. And then when I get there, I'll figure out where I'm staying, I'll figure out what I'm doing. And I flow like that. It's really my time to release my type A self and let her just chill out and go with the flow. So I'm not an overly planner traveler.
Right.
It's literally my time to let spirit play with me. And I'm always amazed at everything. Every time I leave the country, yeah. So.
So I find this fascinating. So you just get on the computer and then you go, show me where I want to go, or where do I want to go? Like how, because I don't hear a lot of perspectives from somebody being so like free where, where they're going internationally. So I'm really curious kind of how you said, spirit creates it, evolves it for you, but is it like a feeling, or do you have like, spirit, I want to go to Europe, I want to go to Africa, I want to go South America, where on the map should I go? Like, how does that process happen?
It's literally, it could be someone saying something, mentioning a country, and I'm like, oh, whatever. And then it comes up again, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then, but first of all, I will say I don't like cold and I don't like snow. So I'm not going anywhere where it snows and where it's cold. So, so it's someplace warm and tropical. And either it's come up before, or I'll just get an inkling like that's a good place to go. And then I book a ticket, and then I go, and I just see what happens. Yeah, it's very weird. It's hard to explain, but it's just a time to just go. And I know I'm going to be safe because I know my spirit team is with me and they're guiding me and supporting me. So I'm never worried about anything. And they always make it easy. Either like I'll think about a certain place and all of a sudden there'll be a flight deal there. I'm like, oh, well, there you go. All right. And then someone will go, oh, I just came back from there. Oh, look at that. And then I will get some more insight about places I should go to. And then I'll kind of feel into those and I go, oh yeah, I should go there. Okay. So it's a time for me to release the reins on the control and see what's going to happen.
Through the metaphor of travel with releasing control, has spirit ever said like, hey, you need to do this? And then let's say you look up the flights and they're ridiculously expensive, or the only hotel is like, again, there's all these obstacles, like it's so far away from the airport and you're like, really? Like, you want me to, like, this is supposed to be easy. Have you ever gotten like a challenge, but then when you had to work it out in some way and kind of put the pieces together?
So my spirit team knows me very well.
Yes, and I'm just asking.
They know that I'm like, okay, I'm out. Like that, so they don't make things too difficult for me because I'll be like, no, she'll dip out. So right. They will make it easy for me. But there's one time that I did have a challenge. I was in Cambodia, and I love Cambodia. I was in Siem Reap, loved it. And people are always like, oh, you're going to go to Phnom Penh. I was like, no, because I just felt like it's not a place I needed to be. Never was drawn to. And also that's where the killing fields happen of the Khmer people. So it's a very energetically heavy, dark place. And so when I found out more, I'm like, oh, that's why I've never had a desire to go there. I will respect that. Cool. But I love Siem Reap, other places. So anyway, I was with someone. And so we were going to go to the islands in Cambodia. But the way to get there is to go to Phnom Penh. And then go to the coast and then take a ship out to the islands. And I was like, well, fine. So we were only going to be in Phnom Penh for like not long, like literally like not even a day. So we're in Phnom Penh. And of course we get there, didn't like it at all. The energy was off. I was just like, I'm so glad we were just here momentarily. Cool. So we're walking down the street and I have my big backpack on and I have my phone in my hand. And then somebody on a motorcycle comes up behind me and almost runs me over, like really close to me to where it knocks you off your kilter. So as I get knocked over, I look at the guy in the back of the motorcycle, there's two of them, and he looks at me and he just reaches and just took my phone and it was off. And I was like, what? And I was with a friend, and so my friend was freaking out. And I will say the friend I was with had a lot of fear regarding where we were. The person didn't travel out of the country a lot, so they were freaking out. They were like, oh my God, just the whole time we were there. And so the whole time I was there, I was constantly like, okay, it's okay. We're going to be doing this. It was such a lot of stuff. And then when my phone got taken, I was just like, wow, like I can't believe that just happened. The person is freaking out. I'm just like, can't believe this happened, So I'm pretty calm about it. And I'm like, okay, I need you to calm down. Like, you're more freaked out than I am. And I'm like, okay, let me just borrow your phone. Let me get, on my phone company, let them know my phone got taken. They can cut it off. And, we all have a phone lock. So it's not like they're going to get my information, whatever. I was like, let me just get into Google and lock stuff down. So not a big deal. But this person is freaking out. And it was a huge lesson for me in that carrying other people's fear. Because I was shocked that happened, because I've traveled so many times, so many countries. I mean, never have I ever had a problem. And I was like, wow, that was interesting in picking up other people's fear. You're in that low vibration, because in a place that's already low vibrational, that I'm not gonna say I attracted that, but I was in the energy. Because normally when I travel, I want to say people don't even see me. Like all the shady stuff, like I'm not even in their vibration. They don't even see me. They go around.
Yeah, you can manifest that cloak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That cloak. They just don't see me. So when that happened, I was like, "What? Did you just take my phone?" And it was so interesting. Like normally I don't get angry, but I was just like shocked this person took my phone, because I actually had my phone up and I had Google Maps on it, walking as to where we were going.
Right.
So I was like, oh. So I literally closed my eyes when it happened. And I hate to say this, but I literally manifested that person on that motorcycle would get into an accident and my phone would fall out of their hand and it would be ruined. So, and I know how my mind works. And so I never use my mind for bad. I will say that. But I was just so angry that person did that to me and my person, because I'm leading someone at this moment. So now like we're both stuck. And so anyway, I check into my phone later on from where it was, and it had not been used. Nothing had been hacked, like nothing. And I'm like, I was shocked. I'm like, so somebody had my phone and they weren't able to do anything with it. I'm like, oh, because I made sure that if you take my phone, you're not getting anywhere with it. It's not going to happen, because people's like wallets and you have stuff saved on your phone. You have your wallets, you have your Apple Pay, you have all these things that are, accessible. So anyway, it was just interesting, like looking back on the experience. And that was a huge eye opener for me about living in other people's fear, carrying other people's fear, allowing yourself to just take on energy that doesn't belong to you, and how that can remove your spiritual cloak and expose you to situations that you're normally not accustomed to. So it was a great learning experience for me. And of course it was fine. I ended up, finding another phone. I bought another phone for super cheap. Still took the photos I was going to be taking on my trip, still was able to access the Wi-Fi wherever it was. It wasn't a big deal. I'm on Google. All my photos were uploaded. So I didn't lose anything, literally just the phone itself. So, so it was a best case scenario, but it was a great learning lesson for me. And the ability to make sure I stay in a place of my own power, even in the midst of chaos, stay in my place of power. And also knowing that, because I knew I was not supposed to be in that place anyway. So I should have been more strong in staying in my place of power and letting that person know, look, I need you to calm down with the fear you're projecting everywhere. So it's a great lesson.
There's a lot of reactivity in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe someone has learned within themselves to be calm with certain situations, but there isn't flexibility taught to us to be calm and just be okay when bad things happen. It's like we have to have some type of emotional response, because everyone who has come before us, like grandparents, parents, the way they dealt with it was some emotional response to let the world or their family to know, I'm not okay when this happens and this is bad. And I want everyone to know that if something bad happens, it's bad.
Right.
Have you, in that light, I know you do a lot of healing ceremonies and retreats where you work with people. Do you have like exercises, or do you work with people to let go of their fear? Because that's something that you have so much like peace and calmness in, and you're just like, you know what? I'm holding the vibration, it's going to be okay. I'm holding the vibration that everyone can be calm.
Yeah.
I'm holding the vibration that spirit's got this.
Right. I work a lot with people and their chakras and their energy and knowing your energy. And I know you do a lot of chakra work as well. I like your background as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And to me, that's where it all starts. A lot of us, I find, are not aware of our own energy. A lot of us walk around, either sick or crabby, and you're just like, I don't know what's going on. Half the time, it's not even yours. It's not even your stuff. We're so sensitive energetically, and we don't understand that. And so, being able to understand and learn your own energy, I think, is step one to any type of spiritual work at all. Knowing your baseline, because once you know your baseline, you are in tune with yourself. You begin to listen to yourself. You understand yourself. Then you grow confidence because your wisdom is coming from within. So then when something is off, you're like, oop, oop. Like it doesn't get very far with you. You'll notice when you come around a certain person, you're like, every time I'm around Susan, I don't, got it. Not that Susan is a bad person, just energetically, you and Susan are jiving. Or every time I go to a baseball game around a lot of people, I get an intense headache. Oh, energetic, that's not the place for me. So you start respecting your energy a little bit better, which allows you to create boundaries better, which allows you to be stronger in who you are, because now you know when your boundaries are beginning to be touched in a way that's not comfortable for you, you have a choice. You're empowered. You can either stay and let your boundaries get violated, which fine, or you can remove yourself from the situation and respect your boundary. So I feel like learning your energy just empowers you as a person to make better decisions about your life. And it allows you to not be the victim, which I think a lot of us as human beings are used to being the victim in a situation. They did that. And yeah, a lot of people do bad stuff. Yeah, they do. Not even, you know, dismissing that at all. But it's how are we going to allow that bad thing they did to affect us? Do you want it to affect you for a long time or a little time?
Right.
What do you want to do here? And so I find that working with people and their energy is step number one. And so I do a lot of workshops that allow people to awaken who they really are. I always tell people that I work with you to help you remember why you came. Why did you come to this lifetime? What did you come to do? You didn't come here to play tiddlywinks and have a shitty life. Pardon my French. You didn't. I'm sorry. You just didn't. You came here to have a life, to have an experience, to have lessons to work on, to karma to clear. But at the same time, you came to navigate other people, other humans, and what they're working with. So, a lot of times we come through life and due to our family or situations, we take on other people's traumas when we're here. It's your job to realize, oh, those aren't my traumas, number one. Number two, what did I come to do? Because if you don't remember why you came, you'll just take on other people's traumas and think that that's your life and have the life that you didn't really come to do. And so that's how I work with people. And I say that I see people's souls. My job is to see your soul, recognize it, and remind you of your soul. That's my job, and it's I love what I do. I feel like people really want to be seen, and many people aren't seen.
Yeah.
And when you could see somebody for who they are on a soul level, their soul reacts to that, and it changes their life. Um, so
It's
that's
connection.
how I work with people.
It's connection. A lot of
Mhm.
us are disconnected, and you said, from the fundamental, you teach people about themselves, their energy, right? And I think a lot of times, like even the question you propose, like, oh, I don't know why I kind of feel off today, right? Like, oh, something's going on, right? And the way society kind of teaches us to cope with that is, um, if you have friends, right? If you have a network, or if you have family you're close to, keyword if, then you have a discussion with how you feel with them.
Mhm.
There's no work on the individual's part to go, let me see what's going on with me.
Right.
And you know what I mean? So it's like we're not even taught to actually actively look at ourselves. Everything we do is based on others, even the contemplation of what's going on with me.
Right. It's the external measuring. We've been socialized to measure outside in. That's how we're not taught inside out, and that's the hard part, you know. Um, it's like we're not taught to trust ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not taught to
I,
trust ourselves. You know,
I
even learning things. You know, we learn things from books and things that other people wrote that tell us how to look at the world. And if we question it, it's like, "Oop, what are you doing? Wait a minute, what are you doing?" Um, and instead of allowing us to create, and I was talking to someone recently, and I was saying that, you know, the art of critical thinking has been lost. And that's the sad part to me. Even like now, if I were to ask most people on the street, hey, do you know who won the World Series in, I don't know, 1996? I'm just picking a date. What do people do? Google. Just
yeah.
Google, right there. Instead of going, well, 1990, okay, in 1996, I was in junior high. Okay. And allow your mind to open up and go into that and awaken things, and then go, okay, I was in, oh, that was summer camp. Oh, and then that's when I met Bobby. Okay. And then we went to, and then, and that's when we watched you could get the answer, but we don't. We just, what does Google say? What is Siri? What is, you know, that's what we do. And it's just, so our brains are just, have just, they don't have to work anymore. They don't have to question. We don't have to question, you know, and when people do question, they're labeled crazy, or they're labeled conspiracy theories or whatever. And it's just sad that people are scared to question. And questioning isn't bad. It just allows your own internal wisdom to percolate and see, is that true? And more importantly, is that true for me? It may be true for you, but is that true for me? Is that my truth? Because my truth isn't necessarily your truth. And that's okay,
Yeah.
you know?
There's a lot more things that need to be shared and brought to the surface. Absolutely. And I think that people are kind of just stuck in their box a lot, right? And they haven't had anyone to show them that life can be different. And so they have to take this initiative and get past, you know, these daily routines that everyone is conditioned in, and break free. And on the other side, things, yes, go a little differently. Critical thinking, you know, you feel more intensely. You're questioning everything. What's real, right? Why am I here? And it can make you like, that's like the spiritual madness of it all. It can make people like unhinged. Usually they're in a more positive place if they're trying to find themselves for the most part. But that is part of the journey. You have to enter the waters and swim around in your spiritual madness, like contemplating reality. Like, what's the point of me being here?
Right. Right. But, you know, it just kind of goes to what you said. When people start doing that, things begin to unravel in their mind's eye. But
Yeah.
that unraveling is simply a revealing of an opening of the lotus flower. But it feels as though it's an unraveling, and you know, it's like, no, that's actually just the illusions falling away. And trust me, what's on the inside is way better than this illusion that has been created for you, if you just have the courage to just stick with it, you know. And I feel like, us understanding that we have a spirit team, guides and angels and loved ones on the other side who love us, and who are not, who will never let us fall and fail. And if those people who are religious, I was raised Christian, so I'm, you know, still of that mindset. You know, God loves us so much, right? And our spirit team loves us so much. They're not going to let us flounder, you know? So it's like, get out there and swim in this ocean of madness, and allow them to just to pick you up, because they will, you know. And once you understand that, you're like, wow, there's much more that's out there. There's much more than what I've been taught to believe, or that I've been seeing. And it gives you like an excitement about life. It gives you an
Yes.
excitement about your purpose, and it awakens you. And all of a sudden you're happy about the life, and every day is an adventure. Like every day you're like, ooh, what's going to happen today? I don't know, but it's going to be fun. I don't know, you know? And I just wish more people would be open to experiencing the unknown and allowing your mind and your soul to experience new people, new places, new things, new concepts, and just grow yourself. But I get it. It's scary. I get it. It's scary.
It's scary, and it's a different way of living. And I think when we are changed, like change is hard, not always, but most times change is hard. And I think we sometimes just get tired, like I'm always working to change. I know you're always working to change. We have a goal, we're like, let's get there, right?
Right, right.
Or like I've been there in a place before, okay, I'd like to revisit that, or like I'd like to become more of that. And there's constant resistance at play, and it gets tiring. It really does. And the will has to be there, the focus has to be there. And there is a way where we surmount that obstacle, but in the jungle of it all, it is quite difficult. And you really have to pat people on the back that have come a certain distance, that are doing the work. You have to pat your fellow people doing the work, like, hey, you're there too, hey, you came to that realization, like that's not easy, like, and not many people think that way, and you're really helping other people because of that.
Right. Right. It's yeah, like you said, it's hard work. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's so rewarding.
It is.
Like I wouldn't go back for anything. I wouldn't go back to the way things were. If you would have told me 15 years ago that I'd be doing this, I mean, I'm a lawyer by trade, I'm a litigator. If you told me I'd be doing this, I'd be like, oh, you've lost your mind, ma'am. No. Yet here I am. And I don't regret any of it at all. And it's only enhanced and deepened my life experience. And I find, just like you said, when you're like this, you give other people the permission slip to explore this for themselves, because we all have a yearning to find out the deeper meaning of our life. We all do, but we're like, how do we do it? I don't know. I don't know. But when you see someone doing the work, it at least gives you a little bit of an inkling of, okay, then that's a way. So for anyone watching, tuning in, something small you can do is start traveling, even for a weekend. Just get out of your place and go someplace where you don't know anybody. I would recommend someplace out of the country, if you can, but go by yourself. Go by yourself. Give yourself a chance to be with yourself.
Yeah, if you're
some
called,
people are like, I can't do it. Yeah, just go. And even if you're not called, just go. Just go. Just go. Yeah, don't even add if you're called. No, especially if you're not called, do it. Challenge yourself. You won't regret it. You will not regret it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can just like as you say that, I just imagine my mom in some like foreign country for a second, losing her mind.
But she'll find it. They always find it. They'll be like, and they're like, oh, okay, what's about that? All right.
If you don't have a calling to go to Morocco, just go.
Just go. You'll be fine. I'm always like, you'll be fine. I always tell people it's fine. And it's funny, just like little kids. Whenever little kids hurt themselves, you go, you're okay. You're okay. And then I'll be like, okay, I guess I'm okay. Yeah, you're okay. You're okay. Sometimes you just need someone to tell you, you're okay. It's going to be okay. I don't know how it's going to be okay, but you know what? It's going to be okay. And it will be okay.
We really have to trust ourselves more. I do agree with that. And that's always being tested, how we trust ourselves in our spiritual work and what we're willing to do and what we're willing to allow. I like how you talked about, the lotus opening, like our wisdom opening when we do the work. And, like, you're familiar with this. I know you are. Like, hail the jewel within the lotus. So there's all this. There's a jewel within ourselves, and there's all, the jewel within what we'll find, energy, truth, right? And there's so many facets, and you will never be bored once you find an access point where you're like, oh my God, I saw this, I felt this, and that was real because I had validation, I had evidence attached to it. So the world can operate like that. The world does what? Like, you never get bored,
Mhm.
and you're always being surprised. And I remember when I kind of would talk to my friends like growing up about, well, don't you want to question things, and how do you think the universe works? I remember, one of the responses that I was like, oh wow, like I was actually surprised by it. I really was, because this individual is actually like quite smart and good in school and stuff. And, I was like a teen at the time. And she's like, my brain doesn't really think like that, Kelly. Like that's like, and she literally just kind of pat me almost like
Yeah.
patronizing on the back, like,
Yeah.
no, that's really cool that you think like that. Like, like that's good to think like that, right? I'm like, oh, I think that was her way of being kind in a way, as much as it was kind of strange, the response. But I was like, wow, like she has no interest. She literally has zero interest. And some people around us, that's just they're not there, but that doesn't mean that it's not valid. That doesn't mean that there isn't something great there. The last thing I'm going to say, because like, you're just inspiring kind of some thoughts on my spiritual journey. I would sit for hours and hours in my room. And like my parents growing up, they thought I was doing nothing. They're like, what are you doing there? I'm like, I'm just, I'm meditating. I'm actually doing a lot. They're like, what are you doing in there? Right. And so I had all this time and energy, and it was like I was traveling, right? I was traveling, and it was just awesome and learning and growing. But everyone around me was like, you're just in your room. Like there was nothing to show, right? And so I think that's what deters people. They're like, I'm here, but then no one else can see where I am.
Yeah. But this process of what we do, it's a very personal process.
Yes.
And I always tell people, because I'm a big science nerd as well. I'm very left brain and sciencey, but like no two people have the same fingerprints, proven, even
Yeah.
identical twins, no two people. So I always tell people when I work with them, I said, no two people have the same fingerprint, which means no two people on the face of this earth are different, which means no two people are going to experience spirit in the same way. Period. End of discussion. Your journey, your movement, your growth, your unfolding will not look like anyone else's. So when you look at someone, a teacher, and go, oh, I want to read like them. I want to be able to see visions like, yeah, let it go. Just let it go right now. Your unfolding, your jewels are literally unique to you. And so I think that it gives people a lot of comfort to understand that their journey it is impossible to be like anyone else's. So for some people that's in their room, that's some people that's like meditating, for some people it's walking in nature, for some people it's going to the beach and surfing, it's different. And so when I work with people, like I tune into your soul and go, how does your soul express its gifts? And how do we work with those gifts in this lifetime that you chose to come into, to work on the things you wanted to work on in the way you wanted to work on them? Because everyone is different. And I think it gives people a lot of comfort, and they're okay with opening up to start their spiritual path or to dive deeper into their spiritual path. But like you said, some people is just sitting in the room, contemplating life, contemplating the universe, looking at the stars. Like, we don't know. Who are we to judge?
Yeah, we don't know. I do think every decision, and tell me what you think. Every decision in life, I do think, is spiritual, even if it's crazy, even if it's low vibration. Like everything teaches us about ourselves. Is it the best decision? Of course, like we can argue that, because there's certain decisions like that was crazy.
Right.
Don't do that again. No. But everything that we do is spiritual, and as long as we're connected to ourselves, we're igniting something, I think, meaningful. And that's like if you feel lonely, if you feel misunderstood, just understand yourself, learn about yourself, connect to yourself. That's spiritual work, right? Like when so you understand this too, like as a medium, as a psychic, as an intuitive, like you're interacting with people's souls because you've interacted with your own soul, so now you're able to do it with others.
Right. Yeah. Had I not done the soul work, I couldn't. I mean, I didn't grow up, seeing dead people.
Yeah.
I'm very practical. I'm very grounded. So now I'm like, dead people, it's not in the Bible. Where do I see? Like, I'm very grew up like that. And so for me to have like opened up this completely other side of myself later on in life, I had to get in touch with myself and go, wait a minute, what's going on in my life? Like what, and that connection with myself, that strong connection with myself allows me to then see other people in that same way. So you're completely right. It's not easy, and every decision we have in life leads us to something else. And so I'm glad that I decided, 15 plus 16, 17 years ago to start unraveling what was in my world that was great. I mean, everything was fine, but I was just like, I don't know, something, don't know what it is. But it was that desire to just go, because I'm very logical, like A plus B equals this. So I was like, wait, what the equal is weird here. What's going on? And so I went down that path, and here I am. So it's great. Allow yourself to make these decisions. I mean, it's either taking the direct route or taking the scenic view. It's all good. You're still going to get there. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, but here we are doing the work,
Can you talk more about like how you started the journey of doing the work, or even how once you figured out like, oh, okay, there's something more to this equation and it's so meaningful to me that I actually want to make this part of my life?
Yeah. For me, it was just, like I said, I grew up very Christian, reading the Bible, going to Sunday school every Sunday. That was my life. Loved Jesus, and very happy with that. But I remember probably back in 2007, 2008, just feeling like that, successful lawyer, litigating, but just, I couldn't put my finger on it. Could not put my finger on what was not right. And through that, and I always feel like spirit, just like the Bible says, God's never going to put more on you than you can bear. Your spirit team is like that too when it comes to spirituality. They're not going to put you in a situation that they know you can't handle. So they're going to only work with you when you're ready. So I feel like they knew that, okay, she's ready. Like, I think she's at the bottom. Like, she's ready to really open up to the gifts that she really, has and came to work with. And so at that point, I just ended up meeting someone who is spiritual, and I say spiritual because they weren't Christian. They were like spiritual, like doing their own stuff. And I was like, whatever, but they were really nice friends. And then they introduced me to other people who were spiritual. And I remember one person giving me a reading, my first psychic reading, or just a reading. And they picked up on one of my relatives who was in spirit that no one could have ever even known about, and then described that person physically to a T. So I know that they were seeing the person. So then my logical brain is like, what the heck just happened? Doesn't make sense. 1 + 1 = 84 here. My brain was literally going to explode. But that's how my brain works. My brain really needs to see something that seems to be impossible, but happened.
Yeah.
And so it just caused a little shift in my energy to allow my brain to go, okay, well, then there must be something to something, because that didn't compute, but the answer's right. So I don't understand how that, and that was the beginning of it. And that allowed me to begin to explore my spiritual side. And I had to come back to that safety, and that, I love God. This has been my religion my whole life. Like, why would Jesus ever lead me astray? And Jesus and God didn't. They were like, okay, it's time to step it up, honey. You've been in this little box. You've had God and Jesus in this box your whole life. Okay, there really is no box. If you believe everything that you read in the Bible, like, God is omnipotent, like, why do you put God in the box? Why do you think God only exists like this to judge people and do all these things? And I was like, oh, I guess you're right. If I believe all the things of faith and all the things that I read about, do I really believe them on a soul level? And so it was a test of my faith, to be honest. These words, these Bible verses that I memorized and could read the Bible, quote it front to back, but what did they mean on a soul level for me? And so it was that pushing, that testing, that allowed me to step into where I am now. And then now when I look back, I see that it's all the same. It's just different packaging. It's all the same. And it really gave me a deeper sense of faith, to be quite honest, doing what I do now. And it's been amazing. And every day I grow. Every day I learn more gifts about myself. I learn how my energy works differently, with my healing. And I learn how my mediumship works differently with the way I communicate with those on the other side. And it's just, I always say exploring yourself and your soul is like having an amusement park all to yourself. You just get to run around and get on any ride you want and then go and walk. Oh my God, there's a new ride. And it's like an amusement park that just keeps building as you explore it,
That's a great analogy.
And some rides you're like, what the hell? Okay, but hey, you know what? Maybe you're not gonna ride that ride no more. That was a bit much. But there's another ride. And then you have all the food you want. Like, it's just a park to explore and to have fun, And so that's kind of where I am. I'm still in the middle of my park. I explore it every day, and then I invite people to come and hang out with me in my park. And then I tell them, hey, you probably have an amusement park too that you need to explore. Yeah, pretty much, and you help people do that. So I don't know if that answered the question, but that's how I began on my journey, and that's how I still treat my journey. It's just an exploration every day of a different part of my park.
Absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, it's like 1,000 analogies where you'll never get bored, and it's ever going. It's like it's so much more than ourselves.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. It's that, just like that. Yeah.
And I guess, like, getting out of living so much more than ourselves and getting out of our own way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's getting out of your own way is always the challenge. Pesky humans, human brains. Dang it. They get in our soul's way all the time. But I always say your brain exists to keep you safe physically, but its metaphysical function also tries to keep you safe spiritually and emotionally. But it just doesn't know how to do that because it's limited by its experiences that you've had since it's been in existence. So however old you are, however old your brain is. And so it's working on a limited capacity, poor thing. But it's doing its best. It's doing its best, so I just got to be like, thanks, boo. Love ya. But this is above your pay grade where I'm at right now. So let's see. And then she's like, okay. And I'm like, thanks, girl. We have this really good relationship now. So I'm like, thanks for helping me in the matrix. I love all the degrees you have and all the learning you've given. This is great. But this is soul work. So go take a nap.
Go take a nap, Brain. You have really good analogies. Like, they crack me up, and they're so true. They're like really, really on point. Speaking with like the limitation of the human body and kind of how we, activate our spirit to, transcend when we need to transcend. Within your energy work, what are your most favorite areas to work with a person, whether it's chakras, their aura, or like their ancestry, with how you help show them what more they can do with their energy?
I would say for me, it's chakra work. Energy centers are really big. A lot of people really have blocks and stagnation in their third chakra. That's your solar plexus. It's the seat of your intuition, your trust, your knowing of yourself. So I work with a lot of people's third chakra. I find that's always a good starting point. Yeah. And then move from there, because your chakras really hold energy and hold emotions. In fact, your whole body does. A lot of times when I'm with the client, I'll just run my hand over their energy, their body, and things will come up. I'm like, ooh, what happened when you were 4? What's going on right here? And they look at me and I'm like, Don, 4, what happened? And we unpeel it. And it finds out that, a trauma happened at 4. Not even anything crazy. It could be, they moved houses. But that thing, for some reason,
unsettles. Yeah.
Something happened, and that's still at play. And I always tell my clients, when I'm picking up on something and you're 50 something years old that happened when you were a kid, that means it's still at play now. So no matter what you're doing and all the therapy that you're going to and all the drugs you've been on or whatever, unless you address that thing, it's not, nothing is going to resolve itself now. And so I work with a lot of people on, what hurts is your soul still holding on to? And if we can resolve that, we can resolve what's going on with you, because it's just manifesting itself in different ways. It's manifesting itself in a weight problem. It's manifesting itself in your lack of joblessness. It's manifesting in another way on the human level, but spiritually, it's still the same hurt. And so our job is, how do we help you with that? So I find that energy work, your chakras, is always a good place to start for me. Yeah.
So do you go back to then origin point to origin point to origin point, and you just go deeper with then the energy healing, or like what's your process then for someone who would like to explore that?
I always say I am so unique. Back to the
Yeah.
fingerprint, no two people have the same fingerprint. So I cannot approach people the same way.
Absolutely.
So my first step sometimes is just let me just run my hand through energy. What's going on? Boop, boop, boop. Okay, let's start there. And let's dive in and let's peel what's going on and see where we get it. For some people, I could, work with them creating mantras for themselves. Some people, it could be energy work, literally shifting the energy. For some people, it could be tuning into loved ones on the other side and see what they are saying about what's going on to help them. Like, it really varies. And also, I'm a medical intuitive. So sometimes I'm looking at, your organs on the inside and what your organs are holding. It's literally so different for everyone. So it's very individual. And I like that about the work that I do, because, it lets people know that I'm seeing you for who you are, and just you for who you are, because no two people are the same. So that's basically my process. I just feel like Spirit has blessed me with so many gifts in this lifetime. And so I just have my bag of tools. And I pull out different tools for different people and different combinations, because I know I need to work with you in the way that works best for you. Yeah.
What are some commonalities? Because you said that the solar plexus is one of the main places that you work with individuals. What
Mhm.
are some commonalities that you see from person to person with issues in the solar plexus, whether from a physical standpoint, emotional standpoint, or somewhere on the timeline?
Mhm. A lot of it is confidence. A lot of people have a lack of confidence, and a lot of people have that lack of confidence because of something that happened when they were young. Either their voice, they didn't feel like they could speak up, or when they did speak up, they were either made fun of or shut down. And that yeah, and it just causes them not to trust themselves. And I always, tell people that, your body has physical functions that mirror spiritual functions. And so, your solar plexus, you have your belly button there. And when you're in your mom's womb, your belly button is where your mother fed you. So you were taking in nutrients through your belly button, i.e., your stomach area, your solar plexus. When you come out of the womb, your belly button doesn't just stay a belly button. It's spiritually where you take in food and nourishment from the world around you. So what are you taking in through words, through songs, through people's opinions, through, what are you feeding yourself? And if you're feeding yourself, I don't trust me, everything must be out and go in, then that's what the energy that's going on in there, and it manifests itself. And some people tend to carry weight just around the solar plexus, just around their stomach, and I say, yeah, your body's trying to feed itself physical food, but really it's trying to feed itself spiritual food. So let's look at what you're feeding yourself. And you talk to them, yeah, I do not trust myself. I do call myself stupid. I do. And I'm like, yeah, I can tell, because I can pick up on that. And so that's a common thing that I find that happens with people. And also, a lot of people have fifth chakra issues, not being able to stand in their truth and speak their truth, and that sometimes does manifest itself physically in the
Mm.
constantly, or when they get in situations, that's when it comes up. Yeah, it's just very interesting. Your body just mirrors everything that's going on with you. So I feel like if people were more aware of their body not just being this thing that they complain about how fat it is, and know that this thing is this beautiful thing that talks to you all the time. When things are off, your body's telling you things are off. But how do you know when to listen? What is it saying? That's how you learn to work with yourself and to heal yourself. I mean, you talked about your story on going through your health challenges. That caused you to really get in tune with your body and go, body, what? Okay, real talk, what's going on? What's going on? What have I been ignoring? And how do I get back into alignment with my spiritual energetic self? And then your body falls in line. So your body tells you so much, so much. Yeah.
Our body tells us so much. The physical symptoms, and even just, I think younger people are going through a lot. And I talk about younger people, like even kids nowadays, or teenagers, and of course adults too. I'm just extending it because kids now are having psychological and spiritual symptoms that adults are having, and that's like
Mm-hmm.
becoming a commonality. So that's why I put them into the fold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like anxiety, depression, that's your body communicating that something is not in harmony with you. It's not like, oh gosh, like, I'm just, I'm going through a lot right now. Like, I don't know what's going on. Is what, I guess I'm going through something, or my life sucks right now. It's like, no, your body is literally communicating for you to change something. And sometimes we're not in the place to change it. I understand. Sometimes, we don't understand the signs, but the more that we are connected to ourselves, the more we can be on a pathway to that. And like my personal health journey, very perplexing. When I was a teenager, I had a lot of health problems. So I cleaned up my diet, and probably everything was really good about my health except sleeping. That's always been my Achilles heel. So when things started happening in my body at that time frame, I was very deeply confused because I listened very incredibly well to I had a very good relationship with my body, but it taught me more things. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's your body tells you so much. And I always tell people too, you may not know, don't beat yourself up over it, but it's just knowing, being aware that something's off, and then going, okay, I need to just tune in. I need to tune in, but we don't teach kids, to what's going on. It's like, what do you think's going on? Well, I think, nope. What do you feel is going on? How do you feel today? How do you feel today? I feel crappy. Okay. Where do you feel crappy at in your body? No one asked you that. They're always like, I just feel crappy. Okay, but where do you feel crappy? And then how long have you been feeling crappy? Since yesterday? What time? 3 o'clock? Okay, what happened yesterday around 3? Where were you? Oh, well, I was okay. And then you allow them to draw the connections, to connect the dots between when did they start feeling that way? Because I always say, when things happen to your body at a certain time, let's go back to figure out like what was going on about the time. Like, I've had clients go, yeah, my knee started hurting like 3 weeks ago. Oh my God, it's crazy. What happened 3 weeks ago? Nothing. I didn't hit it. I didn't fall. I know you didn't hit it or fall, but 3 weeks ago, what was going on that week? Oh, because for me, I was, for me, and I'm saying this for me because everyone's gifts are different. Knees work with decision making. So I'm like, what decision were you grappling with 3 weeks ago? Oh, it's interesting you say that. I mean, that was the time that I was trying to figure out this thing about this job, and I had to, okay. And it's just getting people to tune in a little bit. And then they go, wow. And I'm like, yeah, we hold energy in different places in our body because our body is trying to work with us, and knees bend because they direct you where to go. They're like, oh. So it's just allowing people to draw these natural connections that are not far-fetched, but that our bodies allow us to have. So yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
nothing, like spirit, like you said earlier, does not want to lead us astray. So if we just lean in and listen, even though we're going through the fire or going through, the saying, if you're going through hell, keep on going. As long as we
Right,
keep on going,
right.
uh, it may seem like torture, but you're going to get an answer. You're going to get, if you trust yourself, you're going to get an answer. Like
Right.
your will to keep you on the planet will keep you on the planet. And that's
Right.
the power of the solar plexus, like right there.
Right. Right.
Hold strong, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Just hang in there. It will be all right. It'll be all right. Yeah.
It will be all right. Where can I could keep talking to you. Honestly, there's, seriously. I want to make sure that people know where to find you, though.
Right.
I want to make sure that if they want to attend a class with you, if you have something going on, to share that too as well.
Right. No, thank you so much. So you can find information about me on my website, www.spiritualblacksmith.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Meetup, YouTube. I give sermons a lot, so I post my sermons on YouTube. So it's a great place to go and get a little pick-me-up, a little inspiration. I just gave a sermon recently on a trip that I had to Peru and some ayahuasca. So those people are interested in that, it'd be good to listen to. But yeah, you can find me that way. On my website, you can sign up for my newsletters. You can also email me directly on my website. I will respond. I'm available for readings and bookings. I do things in person and online via Zoom. So no matter where you are in the world, you can find me. I'm based out of Southern California. So I'm happy to meet if you're in the Southern California area or online. And I also make, specialty teas, healing candles, healing chocolates, all kinds of things that I ship all over. So I am here if you need me for anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of things to choose from: physical, and also services. If you're not local, I always give my guests, before we wrap up the show, a chance to give one piece of like wisdom or the final say, something inspirational that comes from the heart, if they feel called to. What is something that you'd like to share with the audience?
You threw me for a loop there, Kelly. I didn't think about that.
I know. It's like, hey, whatever you want. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I've had people pull poems, pull a card, just say what's on the top of their head. I always find it fascinating how people kind of just, right?
Well, I do do tarot cards, but I don't have any cards with me. It's just, I will say, like I said, I was in Peru recently and I had a wonderful ayahuasca experience. And one of the key takeaways from that experience that was given to me was that I needed to abide in love. And that's really been swirling around in my mind since I've been back the past couple of weeks about what it means to abide in love. And abide means to stay fixed, immovable in a state of love. And I find that holding on to that really gets me through anything, because people are difficult. People are difficult. The world is difficult. But if you can just remember to abide in love, and when you abide in love, love is truth. And so it causes you to really stay in a place of truth with yourself and with other people. And so when you stay in a place of truth with yourself, you're honoring yourself. You're respecting yourself. When you're staying in a place of truth and love with other people, you're honoring them by being honest with them, loving them, making sure that you are transparent with them, and just maintaining a level of truth and love. And so I just feel like if I can leave that with you guys about abiding in love, and it's not always easy, but then you remember that, spirit loves you, your spirit team loves you, your guides love you, God loves you, whatever, religious, name that you have, like there is love there. And so just abide in that love. It's unconditional. It's unwavering. It is all around you. And so just harness that love and then allow yourself to be in it, And so that's what I would say, just abiding in love.
Abiding in love, being in love, very important thing to feel and consider. Thank you for that. I'm going to wish everyone a fantastic Monday. Thank you so much, Spiritual Blacksmith, for being with us here today. It was a pleasure. And everybody, really quick, hello to Melissa. Hello to Sherry. Thank you for saying hi. And everyone, please go with love, luck, light, and don't forget to live, everybody. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.